Another Monday morning, and I'm back with capturing the morning walks. Yeah, the weekend was very sort of April-ish. It was sunny, then it was rainy, then actually there was some snow falling, then there were hailstorms, then there was an actual storm with lightnings and thunders. It was incredible, and it was so cold at a certain point. My hands were freezing. So it was a very eventful, from the meteorological perspective, it was a very eventful weekend, I have to say. And one of the craziest days of this year for sure. But today is quite cold. It's around 3 degrees. And yeah, it's fairly cold, but not really that much considering it's still March. But it's gonna get a whole lot warmer in the upcoming days. I saw there's some even 20 degrees during the day, which is a lot. So I think full-blown spring is about to explode in a few days time. And that's about that. Yeah, today is very early. I mean, today is very early, that sounds weird, but right now it's very early. Probably the earliest I went on a walk since I started capturing these videos. And that's because woke up even sooner today. Couldn't sleep again. So it's very early. It's like 6 pretty much. 6 something, 6:05, 6:10. And I saw there's a little bit of sunrise, but it's hidden. It's overcast, so it's hidden behind the clouds. So no sun, no sun rays, unfortunately. But I've got a very interesting piece of information that it's an interesting drumming. Not anymore. As usual, you stop to take a listen. Okay, so resumed. Yeah, so that can either be the classic great spotted woodpecker who just found a piece of branch that doesn't resonate as much because it's not as loud, and it's very, hear that? It's very like high BPM, but very likely, no, this was louder, and this wouldn't be produced by the, I think it's called lesser spotted in English. It's a very tiny woodpecker. I talked about it once. It's about the size of a sparrow, and it produces very sort of soft, low volume drummings with very like high BPM, and it's very cute. But then at a certain point there was a louder drumming coming out, and I don't think lesser spotted would produce that. Sometimes you can get confused with that and you think like, oh yeah, that's probably lesser spotted, but it's just a great spotted who didn't find a particularly good resonating piece of wood, and it just sounds that way, but it's not a lesser spotted. Happened to me a couple times. There's oh, that right there, the high-pitched, it's not that high-pitched, but you know, loud. Might hear it again. So that was a black woodpecker. That was one of its calls. I talked about how many calls a black woodpecker has. This is one of them, and it's like it's probably like an what do you call it? Attracting call. Yeah, you know, like an attracting call, sort of. So that was a black woodpecker. This that constantly repeats. That's That is a nuthatch. I think I saw the black woodpecker there. There's like a big black bird there. It's on, yeah, I can see it. Yeah. And the nuthatch constantly repeats. Well, actually, over the weekend, I've heard one bird that might have just stopped and went because I don't hear it now. But it's another spring bird that also I actually talked about. Now I realize we've talked about the divergence and the migration split between the sort of western and eastern population, and that bird is a blackcap, the one that actually learns to fly to Great Britain to overwinter there instead of flying south, and that actually that migration pattern is splitting somewhere in Central Europe, in the middle of Central Europe, and that actually in Czech Republic, and that the birds that are to the west, they fly to Great Britain, and the birds that are to the east fly the old route that the birds used to fly before. But the eastern Draco, I mean, Drake just, yeah, he just went rogue somewhere. Ah, there he is. I thought he was in this psychoactive mode when he doesn't listen to me, you know. Sometimes that happens. You saw that with the rabbits. Like, I can call, I can whistle, I can, I don't know, do headstands, and he's not gonna come because rabbits. But no, that was not the psychoactive mode, fortunately, and he's back. So yeah, so I actually heard the blackcap, but it was just for a short time, and it's no longer, I don't hear it. It doesn't mean that it's not here, maybe it's just not singing, but it could have also been just on a migration, and it might have just stopped for a moment, sank a little bit, and decided to just move on, you know. But yeah, I have heard the first blackcap. I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And I hear that. So those right there are crows. We've heard a lot of ravens, and they have a different voice. They have sort of, I don't know how to call it, like a softer kind of voice. Crow's voice is very not sharp, but very harsh. It's like you know, like it's like as if like, imagine someone who's been smoking for 70 years, heavy smoker, you know, three boxes of cigarette a day. I mean, boxes, that would probably kill that person within a year. But Dejku, tady jdeme. Tak. 3 boxes. What I mean is, what are they called? Jesus, you know, I didn't sleep that well, so my brain is a bit scrambled. The little small, oh my God, what the hell? Like the small thing you smoke, and there's cigarettes in it. Is it box? I don't think so. I think it's a package. Yeah, package. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's me and not sleeping well and early in the morning. So a package, one packs. It's a pack of cigarettes. Oh my God, boxes. No, that would be bad. Like smoking 3 boxes of cigarettes per day. That would. I don't know. Actually, if anyone tried that before, like how quickly it would kill you, but probably pretty quick. You'd suffocate, I guess. But imagine that. Imagine if you're smoking. Or imagine a heavy smoker that lost his or her voice. So that's kind of how how the crow sounds, whereas the sound of a raven is more guttural, more like you know, kind of like, whereas the crow is more like you know, as it's trying to produce the sound, and it's not going very well. And a rook sounds, I think a rook sounds even more as a heavy smoker, you know, it's even more harsh. So that's kind of if you just hear the sound, don't see the bird, because ravens are much larger birds, so you would know that. So if you don't see them right away and just hear, that's how you're gonna recognize, oh, that's a rook, it's a raven, that's a crow, and so on and so forth. Ravens are very specific. Once you learn to identify them, the sound is absolutely unmistakable. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, the blackcap. And I was actually talking about an interesting piece of information for you, and that information is that apparently there is a wolf here, which is fascinating and surprising too, and amazing as well. I'm really like happy and excited that the wolf is here, and actually when I've heard that news, I was like, oh, so that explains the deer. Because if you remember that roe deer there, that's new. This here probably fell because it was like quite heavy wind at a certain point. So you know, I'll probably start going through here, because I always get under this trunk here, and it's, why don't I just go here, and it's much easier. I'll start doing that. Because it's definitely more pleasant. So when I've heard the news, by the way, that's a chiffchaff right there, and another one in there, a chiffchaff, colibita, Philoscopus colibita. Yep, beautiful chiffchaff. There's another one over there. When there is a season, when you are in the forest, you're gonna hear loads of chiffchaffs, you know, from every single corner. They held pretty small territory, so in not very large forest, you will hear a lot of different chiffchaffs, and they'll hold a lot of different territories. And their territories are really not large, let's say, you know, like some birds of prey, they have pretty large territories, and small songbirds, they have territories of size of, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 meters, you know, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes less, but they're pretty small areas that they're holding. Because I mean, there is only so much, such a large area a small bird can hold, right? So yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of chiffchaffs when there is a season in the spring. Anyways, the wolf, yeah. So apparently there is really a wolf roaming this region and these forests, and that explains a lot, because I've been seeing droppings that were I think too large for a fox, to be honest, and they were definitely not a dog's droppings, because there's a lot of fur in them and it just didn't make much of a sense. But most importantly, that deer that had its head chewed off, which I cannot imagine a fox doing that, and its entire half, if you remember, its entire half was missing. And then after not like, I think just 4 days, the entire deer, the entirety of it, if even the bones, was gone. So now that explains it, because a wolf would certainly be capable of that. So probably what we witnessed there with the deer was was that it was a wolf stash, really, and it was coming back there to chew on it, and it just ate it, because I mean it's a very prolific chewer, I would say, an eater, and its jaw is like made to, you know, really take out chunks of that meat and crunch the bones and all that. So that makes a whole lot of sense, because a fox is too small to do such a damage to a carcass, and to eat it this quickly, I cannot imagine, to be honest. So that, with like probably 90% that was a wolf. Hell, 99% maybe, since now I really know that it's confirmed that there is a wolf here. That makes a whole lot of sense. So that's quite exciting, and now not only that we might come across a white deer, but now we might also come across a wolf. And how cool is that? Although I think that's highly unlikely, because wolves are extremely shy creatures, extremely shy, and in order for you to see them, I mean, you would count yourself a very lucky person to see a wolf, especially in these parts of the world. I mean, it's there are people that track wolves for years and they haven't seen one, and they spend days, hours and days in the forest, and they don't see anything but tracks, droppings, fur, some of its kills and prey and so on, but never the wolf itself. It's an incredibly shy creature, and there is a very slim chance of you seeing the wolf before it sees you. There's almost no chance. Usually it sees you before you see it, and it just vanishes, because it's staying away from humans for a good reason, and good for them. It's a great strategy. Keep out and steer clear of humans as much as possible, because they are danger. That's a Fringilla calyps, chaffinch. So I mean, it would be awesome if we would catch a glimpse of the wolf. That would be amazing, and I've never seen a wolf in my life. I mean, in a zoo I did, but not otherwise. I have never seen a wolf in the wild. So if we would see it, that would be just freaking amazing. But I think the chance is like 1 in a millionth, really, because it's an incredibly shy creature. You can definitely come across a fox, you can come across the white deer, you can come across boars, you can come across, hell, maybe a badger, but a wolf, no, not a chance. It's a very secretive, very, very, very shy, animal, and the chances of you seeing it before it sees or smells you, no chance. So yeah, that's very interesting information, and that deer really was a wolf stash, and now it makes a whole lot of sense. So cool. With that, I'm going to sign off. See you tomorrow.